2.5 inches of new asphalt over the top. That's gonna really help down by the water plant. But frost heaves are a concern. We're aware of them, but like I said, I don't have enough I probably got 5 temporary signs. So and if you start putting temporary signs up right along the road, every time the wind blows and you get a little snow, you got drifts around them signs. So it's 6 one way and half a dozen another. So I'm up for options or ideas, but right now we're leaving them and just hoping people understand that it's wrong.
North Dakota weather, it can happen on good roads.
Yeah, it's happening on our state highways. You're seeing them on the state highways.
Oh, yeah.
So, but other than that, unless you guys have any other questions, I'm going to stick around and we'll talk in the long-term plan.
Yeah. Any questions for Russ, right? That's the shortest you've ever been.
Records have been set. Maybe it was a New Year's resolution.
Oh!
But it's not done yet.
Yeah, wait till we get to long-term planning, I'll make up for it.
What?
He's getting loaded for long-term planning.
Did you get a message from Dennis? Dennis?
No, look, we could pick it up where
There he's here.
Dennis sent copies of the Dennis from the ordinance. Does that mean something?
doesn't say anything
Okay.
about it.
Larry, you're up.
Well, we're gonna be way ahead of schedule, huh?
You are. Is that okay?
Yeah, we can go ahead. There was some other people that were gonna come too, but that's fine.
Well,
Well, Dennis on the ordinance today. And I'm down with Dennis.
But that-
She's coming in.
Oh, okay,
We'll take John first.
good.
We're a little ahead, John, so you're up.
Me?
yep.
Boy,
You didn't have time to warm up or anything.
no, apparently not. These are what I get from the state, so. Okay, so what would we like to start with first?
Do the easy one first, the zoning. I'll
Okay,
tell you.
have you guys appointed people for the board yet?
Yes.
Okay, 3 of them?
Yes.
Okay,
Zoning board? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
perfect.
But the ordinance.
So, last night we had a meeting, a public hearing to go through data centers. I did email you guys a copy of it, and then there probably were copies back there in the door. It's just kind of a cover everything that we can think of to try and put in protective what have yous.
How many pages is that?
16, 15, something. We added a few things from emergency manager so that we cover training and anything kind of there's an emergency. Do you have any questions about it?
I haven't had time to read it. Can you just give us what you added or whatever?
What we changed last night?
Yeah.
Or what? You made 3 changes last night.
For the data, for a data.
Data center. Right, there's 26 page things are all
Yeah.
around the number of meetings.
So the 3 changes that we made last night was fees, so it's gonna be 10% of the estimated total cost of the project or as negotiated. The other one would be county matters, entering a couple of things regarding the emergency manager. One was to have the emergency response plan reviewed yearly, and another was to file all material safety data sheets yearly with the state and with the county emergency manager.
The word yearly wasn't in there, so you really could have an inspection initially and go 20 years without another inspection, just so yearly,
And the 10% here, is that for permitting?
for permitting. After going to the 6 county meeting, I brought it
Yeah.
back. We heard 3% a lot, we got 10% was high, we suggested, well, or negotiated. So that leaves some leeway for,
And Emmons County did get big money for this thing.
right.
How do you figure it the first time? Whatever.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, you know. Okay. Any questions on that? Lieutenant?
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we do the zoning as we presented. For the data center.
The update.
The updated for the data center.
Okay. Motion made by Boone, is there a second?
Second that.
Second, Brian, you want, any discussion on it?
Does anybody know where the location would be?
Well, I don't think there's
There's no,
any.
there's no plan.
This is just, yeah.
Okay, all right. This is just to get it, so we got something in zoning.
Yeah, get it on the table.
There's so many other counties that don't have no zoning for a bunch of this stuff, and then they start it, and then they gotta worry about their zoning. Well, if we do the zoning ahead of time, I think it's good.
And that's kind of what Emmons County ran into, right?
Yeah, Emmons County didn't have any, and then all of a sudden this all come about. But I mean, if we work a little bit ahead of time, we should be ahead of the game.
So if we don't, if there is interest, if they're gonna put it, we'd have to file the application, then we would know.
Yeah.
We hope there's the next step.
We would hope for that.
Right, I was just curious if anybody had picked up on that.
No, there's no talk that you're coming, but I know.
So under discussion, is there any way to reach out to some of those people?
In my long-term planning.
Okay.
We should put it over there by the Hertzler Reservoir and we could use up that water this way, we could use a lot of water.
Number one, you gotta get them to, you know, come to the
Yeah, that's the key.
You gotta have lots of power.
Yep.
Any other discussion? And if not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
So, after your meeting, I'll need your signature on the resolution so that we can file it with the recorder's office too. And I have that in my office, so we just do it when they in order.
Remind me, so.
Okay, going on to agricultural values. I gave you with the state certified, so these numbers have to be ran through NDSU, and NDSU gives them a set of numbers that are production rates and interest rates, all of that kind of combined. The state tax director's office certifies those numbers, and then we have to be within 90% of the certified number. In 2025, the all agricultural land county average was supposed to be within 90% of 875.05. And for 2026, we have to be within 90% of 832.48. So we're reducing, decreasing essentially by 4% to stay at a 99% tolerance level for the state. And we're not the only ones. You can look at it, and there's a lot of counties that are decreasing as well, or staying the same. But the ones that are kind of centrally, I've noticed are decreasing a little.
We have to decrease rate to
If you do not decrease, the state will make you.
Once again, it's one of them state mandates that we really don't do much here. We follow the state rules.
So if, for instance, if you're at 101, they will decrease you 1% to be at 100. If you are at 89, they will increase you 4% to be at 93. So. But the biggest reason that there's such a difference between 25 and 26 is if you look at the capitalization rate, it was 4.47 in 2025. It is now 4.74% in 2026, and that's based off of 10 of 12-year average of Agrodata bank interest rates for operating loans. And if you have a capitalization rate that increases, your values will decrease, depending on what your production is doing. And we're always throwing out one year and bringing in another, so. And our interest rates have kind of been a little higher than normal, so that's why the capitalization rate increased.
So this sheet that you have here shows that you gotta go 4.5 to get to 99.
Well, we could do 4% without doing that. We can do 4% decrease and stay at 99.
I thought when you were originally talking, it was 3.5, and I thought that was substantial.
No, it has to be 4.
Yeah.
That is when 2/3 of your valuation is ag land. This is a gut punch. So just so you know.
On the other hand, Johnny explained a little bit, we had this discussion a year ago, we didn't have to raise ag land a year ago, but we did, at 3%. If you wanna look at a 3-year average, we're only going down 1%, which makes this maybe a little more easy to
A
swallow.
little more tolerable, absolutely, but your new normal is organizations that can't collect enough to make ends meet. So, yeah, it's gonna increase your challenges, no doubt.
So you want to.
We need a motion, John.
We need a motion to accept this.
I'll make a motion that we approve the decrease in ag land to 4%.
Second by Brian Lau, motion by Stan, second by Brian Lau. Any other discussion? By 4%, you say?
That gets us to 99 point what? 10%,
Well, that makes a big difference.
I will try and make it as close to 99.5 as I can. But 4%, give or take, because I have to
You
go
want a
into
little
a pricing schedule and that kind of plays into
Right,
things
okay.
too.
All right, I'll leave the motion as it is.
Okay.
Is this, I'm just asking, because you have a lot of different kinds of ag land, obviously. When you talk about 4%, is that really and truly across the board, or
It's not gonna be-
pasture,
well,
ag differently?
Okay, so the pricing schedule, if you want, you can have a copy of that, it's 26 pages long, but essentially what you have is you have 3 main categories. You have ag, which would be considered tillable, you have non-ag, which would be considered non-ag after your FSA map in 2008. Which could be, it could be pasture, it could be just non-usable land. Could include a lot of sloughs.
I'll lay.
Yeah, and then we have we have water. And water is 10% of the non-crop dollar rate, which is like $17 an acre. Can't do anything with it, so you can't really value it very high. So when we plug it into the pricing schedule, I have to plug in all agricultural land, average, a crop land, and a non-crop land. So all of these soil types, all 128 are going to adjust. You'll see an overall decrease, and for the most part, you'll see each parcel go down 4%, but it's gonna be 4.1, 4.2, 3.9. So it's not gonna be exactly the same.
Yeah, that's the point I was getting at, so I don't wanna be misleading in how we go about writing this, and that's really what my point here
So it'd be
is,
4% overall.
overall. Okay.
Is that covered in the motion?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It is, okay.
Well, to make complicated, if this all straight, then within ag cropland, there's all these different soil types. They'll put a different value on them potentially every year, correct?
Each when you increase or decrease the soil types, the formulas in the pricing schedule will accommodate whatever dollar per acre you put in for each of the A-line, crop and crop.
So some is gonna be above that mark,
Yeah,
some is
so
gonna be below that mark.
we have
right.
soil types that range in dollar per acre of $1,200 an acre down to $17 an acre. So they will all adjust accordingly. Because you have to also look at how many acres of that soil type there is, what the productivity index number is, and yeah, it's long.
But there's years where NDSU will come out and say, cram soil is not worth what it was
Well,
last year.
we have not updated our soil type since 2012, and that's something that the state is looking at having us do, but the last time I tried to do that, and I did, 4 or 5 years ago, and I got a lot of backlash. So we put them back to the 2012 values, or soil types, I guess we should say. But eventually I'm gonna have to, and it's not gonna be great, because I think they added a few more soil types into it too.
No other discussion? All those in favor of the vote, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The last thing I would like to talk to you guys about is within, I think it's Senate Bill 1176, I think is what it was, I could be wrong. But the legislation went away with the notices of increase. We used to have to send out a notice of increase if the evaluation was $3,000 and 10% more than it was the year before. We no longer have to do that. Now we have to send out a letter to every property owner within Wells County stating that this is what your valuation was last year, this is what your valuation is this year, regardless of if it goes up, down, or stays the same. That's a lot of work.
Done.
So there are 7 townships and 2 cities in which I do not assess. Our office does not have a contract with them. They have a contract with either Beverly Hart or Scott Fetch. And I would like you guys to determine whether it will be my office's responsibility to send these letters out for them, and we cover the postage and the paper and the time, or if we, since they have a contract with an individual, that it should be their responsibility to send it out and pay for it. And I need you guys to determine that so that I have something to go back on for when they want me to do it. What are your thoughts?
Jana's worry is about a week before they gotta get sent out, one of these individuals is gonna come and say, can you just do this for us?
The thing is that in order for us to do it, we would have to take all 9 books, all 9 assessment books, and individually, parcel by parcel, hand enter them into our computer system. It takes a week and a half for us to do that because you have to reconcile all the numbers at the end. What they have, the total at the end of their book has to match what's in our computer system. And so if we don't have enough time, and I don't have a lot of time, because I've got 29 of my own to do, including Harvey City. You know, if it was something that we were already contracted to do, we'd already be doing that work and have it done.
Right. So if they want to do the assessing, that'd be their responsibility first of all, wouldn't it?
That's what I would say.
Well, if it don't get done, what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
Well,
then the people are gonna say, they're gonna call you, how come I didn't get my statement?
But it's on them.
It's on
I know
them.
that, I'm just saying, you gotta make
It's
sure.
on the people that are gonna, the other people,
Well,
not on her.
I'd be more concerned about the state coming down on those assessors.
True, true.
Well, and here's the thing, is that I don't know how the state will penalize if you don't send them out. I do not know that part. I can speculate and state that if they don't send them out, they could potentially put all the values at 0 because they didn't do what the state law says. That is a potential thing, you know? Or I don't know because you're supposed to send it out, whether it goes up, down, or in between, you know? When they've had to do notices of increase, I've always required them to give me a copy of the notices that were sent to the individual. And if they do it themselves, I will require that of them as well. I mean, if they want to bring them in and I do the copying, so I have a copy in my office, that's fine, but I'm not gonna fill them out and send them out.
No,
They have to bring them to me, filled out, and I'll throw them through the copier and it'll take 5 minutes.
That's not fair for her to finish their
Work.
work.
So can we send a recommendation to them in some form of a letter saying, get your
Well-
act together by a certain date, or?
Well, I would just suggest Jana call the two people and say, hey, what do you wanna do? We're not gonna do this for you. We're willing to do it for you, but it's gonna cost you
Right,
money. And it's gonna be over and above postage and handling. I mean, any kind of, I don't know if you put a dollar amount on it, but whatever dollar amount as far as time is concerned, we need to charge them. Because maybe you guys don't know, or you do know, that each individual township that signs on with the county pays $400 a year.
400 plus mileage and anything that we have to do within the township.
Whereas
Generally 400 though.
Catches townships and, you know, the Hertzfield ones, they must be paying these people.
They're paying them, it's not whatever they have contract, but they're not paying the township.
So,
But, I mean, I know a phone call's good, but at the same token, it's just too far enough ahead of time, so she's got time to do it.
well, right.
But if they got a letter, and we had a copy of it, and they come back there, oh, things didn't work out. Remember, we could say, well, we called you, oh, I forgot about that. So I'm just trying to be clarified here to cover the base. Huh?
You'd rather,
I'd rather not do it at all.
Right, I'm just saying though, is, you know,
if you have to.
if you're gonna do this, if you're not gonna make this date, don't bother.
Well, that's
Well,
our
here's
other
the thing,
option.
they assess, and that's part of that job.
Right, I know.
That's our other option, you know, because they just, Jana, she's overworked the way it is, and they're on their own.
Well, that's where I'm at. I charge them like $7, that's only part of it, for $5 involved.
Charge high enough so they don't want to.
The biggest thing is that they make me, if they want me to do it, then it's taking away from it.
Other charities supposed to.
Right.
Right, no, I know.
Yeah, you got all yours done and you got 4 days, and here they come.
When the,
4 days before the deadline, here they come.
And these notices have to be out 15 days prior to equalization. So equalization happens within the month of April. I'm going to throw mine towards the end of April, just so that I have enough time to get everything of what I have to do done. But they can decide when they want to do it. I pick my dates, they pick theirs.
Equalization has to be in April.
It has to be within the month of April.
There'll be a lot of them on the 29th and 30th. Well, in all reality, that's what we're gonna
Well,
have
and
ahead of
see-
time
see-
that,
And here's the thing is that some counties have it so that, set up so that they can import from one program to another. And that's fine, well and good, and we can do up to a certain amount of them, but we don't have all of the properties in our camera system yet. So I go through one by one to make sure that everything's absolutely correct. And it doesn't take, one vehicle maybe takes 2 or 3 minutes or less to do, but you still gotta go through all of them. And, I mean, eventually, hopefully by the time I'm dead, we'll have it all in camera system. But there's a lot of work that goes to it too.
I'm curious what your notice will look like versus what their notice will look like. And I only say that in the vein of a person who owns property that's in one of those areas and also owns property that's someplace else. And is that gonna cause,
I wanna
Some
say that the
confusion.
state is going to have some kind of a format that they're gonna have to use. I'm not sure, don't quote me, but I would assume that they're gonna have some kind of format. It sounded like that the tax commission was going to even do postcards. But my format will be whatever Ray comes up with for soft renovations. And I'll print them on there.
and that's, I guess, what I'm concerned about. And it doesn't affect me personally, but there's gonna be a lot of people who own property that get a notice from you. And then there's that same person's gonna get a different notice, and they're not gonna look the same. They may convey the same information, but
Well, I
this
think,
becomes a cluster. It really does.
I know.
She's looking for an answer, but
So how far away are they from saying what to do? Totally for the year.
You haven't reached out to them.
I haven't reached out because technically I have until February first to get their books to them. So they have to do a year's worth of work in a month of February, because you can't, February 1 is the assessment deadline. So anything that is built prior to February 1, it can be assessed. Anything that's built after February 1 has to wait for next year. And so I have until February 1st to get them their books technically, but I want to hope to get it out by Monday next week, so that they have that time. And you have just another month of sales before I can get them all that information together. Because whatever we're doing in residential and commercial is determined by the sales ratio report. Whether they pay for it, whether we have it assessed at, what's the ratio, and what's the median ratio to find out if we need to increase or decrease on what. So that's the timeline. Then they have until 15 days. They have to have all of the notices in the mail, I would say, by 17 days, so that I can get them within 15 days prior to that. And they never say if it's business days or if it's just 15 days, so I include weekends into that as well. So.
so it's your preference.
And do you, before providing an educated answer, do you need to reach out to them and get a response from them?
I think so, we can speculate a lot here, but that's the first step.
Well, I don't know about stats, but I know, I can honestly tell you about 99% sure that's all who asked us to do it. And she's got the most countries and cities. Because there's not a year that goes by that we don't get 30 phone calls from them.
And there's nobody in this room, other than you, that can answer the question of what's the level of responsibility here? Everybody can think they have an answer to this, but they don't.
In my mind, if the assessor wants to do the job, then they have to fully do it, which would include all of the responsibilities of some of this new legislation.
I agree.
That's probably your first step to contact Bill when the time is right and say, with all this new stuff, are you comfortable with this? What are we gonna be doing?
It's kind of a
Can you give
front
them an
burner
item
issue.
order?
Yeah.
But these guys are coming back for a special meeting on Friday morning.
Well,
Is
so-
it even reasonable to think you can get them to respond to you in 3 days? Probably not, but
Well, you can hope for that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think,
I think you
So,
know,
is what you want me to do, reach out, tell them about what the additional responsibilities are, and see if we wanna take over their job completely, as in before assessing everything, or?
I don't, I think
don't
this is an
know.
area that you can't necessarily tread on, that's still gotta be their choice, but there's gonna be a cost associated with it, cause it is time and labor intensive.
That's right.
And it is what it is, and nobody seems to care when the legislation is passed to do this. Nobody stops and thinks about what that's gonna do to somebody else's workload.
Right.
And so, it would be my recommendation, you reach out to those two parties, get their input, so that these guys can make an educated decision on Friday morning.
yeah, reach out to them, and you know, include the fact that we're not gonna do this for nothing. I mean, it is going to cost,
What it costs the rest
We
of the
better
town.
figure that out, because they're gonna ask that question right away.
Well, you gotta emphasize that's part of their responsibility,
Yeah.
they're doing the assessing.
I know, but what kind of a dollar value?
Well,
They're still gonna assess, but in this case, they want to send the notices out. What's that worth as far as the value?
If they're doing half the work, they're charging townships, they're charging $400, right?
For now, I I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk to them and see. if
Whatever,
we can
but,
get these done.
but
That's too low.
in this case, do you take half of it because they're doing the assessing, or do you take two-thirds? I'm just saying, they're gonna wanna know that when you talk
Yeah,
about that.
that's the tricky part.
Right there, they're gonna wanna, that's the first question they're gonna
They
have.
want Janet to do it if it's for free. If it's $1,000,
But
if
here's
it's
the thing,
$1,000
the
a
other thing
township,
that-
then it's a different story.
One other thing I'd like to let you know too, so that you have the full idea of what's going on. I do their glance assessments. I send it to Sidwell, I tell them what their values are. The only work that they do is on residential and commercial property. And taking out Bowden and Hertzfield, there's hardly any work in townships, because there's not that many farmsteads. There's not much for commercial. So you take out Bowden and Hertzfield, and I already do.
And you don't know what townships pay them. do you? We get
I do
400.
not. When we did the contracts for 400, that was back in 2015, 16, when we went to where assessors had to have so many hours.
Then it was school,
Yes.
get certified.
That's what the going rate was way back when. Now, I know that there's counties that are charging a heck of a lot more than what we are. And then there's some that are just charging per parcel. I'm gonna assume that they are probably still at whatever it was back in 15, that's what they were paying veterans comp. I mean, I can reach out to the townships and ask, but
I could snoop around too.
So we okay with kind of tabling this till Friday?
See if we can come up with something like that.
Reach out to them, tell them we gotta know by Thursday night
okay.
what we wanna do.
So
Be willing to pay.
do I reach out to the townships or the assessors? Because the townships are the ones that are gonna pay if they want us to do it.
I think there's a couple of those represented in this room, sitting back here someplace. Maybe you have some insight.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell
I
that
didn't
which
see
one.
Brian hiding back there. They're awful quiet.
Yeah. I will reach out to veterans back and see if it's something that they feel like can do or if they want us to do. I'll tell them that there will be compensation needed, but we are unsure what that dollar amount would be until a later date.
Do you feel that those people are qualified for it?
What's that?
Do you feel those two assessors are qualified to do what needs to be done? Just a question.
I'm sure you have a political answer here.
Well, I know,
know.
but if there's new technology and they're not, I mean, if we gotta answer that question, I kinda like to know, it's just like, well.
The biggest thing is that they will receive a list of agricultural assessments will be for 26. Technically, they can fill it out by hand, it's, again, human error. You can, when you're talking
Yeah,
all the parcels and making sure that all the parcels go with the right person, there can be a lot of human error versus a computer system. Because once you plug them into the computer system and you have it reconciled, you press a button and you get them all listed, That's what it's there for. As far as filling them out, I mean, yeah, they could do it. Will they want to? Because it's a lot of hours.
Just out of curiosity, Brian, on the top of your head, do you know what you pay your assessor for your township too?
I don't know off the top of my head what we're paying, but it sounds like a conversation coming up that we're gonna have, but I'd just be curious what Beth's response is gonna be, because I think she's got Bull Moose Township too.
Well, she's got Lynn, Silver Lake, Bull Moose, Chaseley, Hertzfield, and Bowden.
So,
And I will be honest, she's 2 years behind on her getting her property cards updated. Every year she comes in and she's like, yep, I was busy and I get it, she had surgery and all that too. If I were going to be completely honest, I will tell you that our property cards are not where they need to be if somebody took them to the state board of equalization. So that's,
I just wanted a thought
yep,
process.
so that's
Thank you.
the honest truth.
Well, I think when you really, in reaching out to these two assessors, I think it would be prudent for them to reach out to the different townships and
Yes,
cities.
I agree.
Also to say, hey, you know, this is a new deal and it's mandated by the state. Don't make us or you or the local entities to be the bad guy here.
Right.
It's mandated by the state legislature to do this,
And it's not
we gotta do
funded,
this.
it's not funded by the state either.
No.
They mandated it, but it's on us to pay for it.
Hardly ever been the case.
Yeah, ever. But I will reach out to them and I will see
Okay.
and let them know, and hopefully they reach out to their townships and cities and I can get an answer back by Friday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really?
Oh, Dennis, don't forget to come see me.
I didn't know if you knew. Morning.
Morning. I'll sit in the back. Okay, what I will do is I will just go through these points here, one by one, and I'll, if you got a question as we go along, just go ahead and ask them, and then we'll proceed on from there. The North Dakota Supreme Court held that 10DCC 61-16.1-51, removal of obstructions to terrain, does not authorize the Water Resource District to assess Fairville Township the cost of removing obstructions to the Oak Creek drain because the township is not acting as a landowner when it removed the 55th Avenue culverts. Any questions on that particular one? Okay. The Water Resource District and Fairville Township continue to disagree about which local government entity has jurisdiction over the culverts removed from 55th Avenue. No questions? Okay. The Water Resource District's position is that the road authorities, township, county, municipal, or state, generally have jurisdiction over culverts and bridges located in their roadways. The district's authority is limited to culverts that are necessary to accommodate an assessment drain. Anybody have any questions on that one? Okay, prior to construction of the Oak Creek assessment drain, 2 culverts existed at the section line between northeast quarter of section 30 and the northwest quarter of section 29. Culvert 2, 24-inch CP or CSP, and a culvert 3 is 18-inch CSP. The original crossings do not meet current North Dakota stream crossing standards at that point in time. I'm just going to go right into the next one as well. The Oak Creek assessment drain design called for the removal of culvert 2, the installation of new culvert 1, which would be a 35 by 24 arch pipe, equivalent to a 30-inch round. The design did not call for removal of culvert 3. Under current standards, originally planned configuration would also not meet stream crossing standards. During the construction of Oak Creek assessment drain, the Water Resource District's engineer made an intentional design modification to retain original culvert 2, which was the 24-inch, the as-built project, inspected and approved by the Department of Water Resources, which would be the state. Included 3 crossings: culvert 1, 35 by 24 arch; culvert 2, 24-inch; culvert 3, an 18-inch. As-built configuration also did not meet current stream crossing standard. Anybody have any questions on that particular part of that? None? Okay, Fairville Township removed culvert 2 and 3. Removal or modification of the culverts that reduces the conveyance can cause water to be detained at the township road and may expose the township, the Water Resource District, or both to liability for damages to structures or property. The district's position is that because the township removed the culverts, the township would be responsible for damages caused by the removal. No questions?
Question what, these culverts are back in there now, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah, and it's up to the stream crossing standards now, which required going from a 24-inch pipe to a 36-inch pipe.
Which one is that? It's 36. One?
The crossings 1 and 2. It'd be crossing 2 is the new 36-inch pipe, where originally crossing 2 was a 24-inch pipe. Or
Crossing 3 is 18 and 24.
What's that?
3.
3 is an 18-inch, and that is currently put back into the road as well. And with the 3 of them in there, it barely meets the stream crossing standards of today.
Those standards changed, like, over time?
The state goes back and they'll look at those every so often and see if they need to update that. It's a very lengthy process they use for that, and that's done by the Department of Water Resources. I don't know when the last time that they did that. They don't do it real often, but they do it from time to time. And I think the reason that they do that is, if we end up with larger flooding events and different things like that, over time, that's usually when they revisit those.
Do they look at the average over the years, kind of
Yeah.
somewhat, what is that?
Yeah, they take all that into consideration when they do that.
So number 7 there with the liability deal, you're saying the water district responsible if that's?
Well, if we wouldn't have did something with, to bring it back up to the stream crossing standards, we just let it go, or, let's reword that. If we knowingly left it unchanged, then didn't meet the stream crossing standards, then we could be liable for that. But since we put it back in, the liability would be pushed to the township if they took that back out again, or if we wouldn't have done anything with it.
So with it out, it backs up and causes property damage?
Yes, that's correct. And actually, we had one, not a real big rain event, but
Well,
it definitely caused some problems backing water up.
So if you didn't take the culverts out, why are you responsible?
That's just,
I mean,
anybody can get dragged into the lawsuit.
no, but I'm asking a simple question. If you guys didn't intentionally take them out, and it was not your action, why are you responsible?
Well,
I understand that, but I'm just saying, being you did not take them out,
but then the liability would get pushed to the township because they did it.
okay, I'm just curious.
Yep.
I just want to make sure,
Yeah.
because it doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Well, it would make sense if the township took them off, they should put them back in, right?
Right, but why should the water board be responsible for if somebody else took them out? Why did it fall on them? Or it wasn't falling on you?
I mean, this is a 40-year-old drain, they should
You're
do that.
responsible for the drainage, that's
Right.
Yeah.
But if you didn't take them out,
Right.
but this is,
We would still end up getting, if, say, for instance, if somebody upstream decided to sue,
The water board's responsible for that
Okay.
drain.
but you didn't take them out.
right, and that would
Just making
hopefully
sure
give us
that-
an out of getting
Yeah,
out of
I'm
it.
just making sure that I understand that.
Yep.
Well, I think also you need to understand, I don't know if you guys want to go back, you need to go back to number 1 and understand what's happening here. This was not our original intent. We wanted the township to reimburse us for putting the culverts back in. The Supreme Court didn't rule on any of that. All they ruled on was this, is that we can't assess the township because the township is not a landlord. They didn't say the township was right or wrong, or we're right or wrong.
Right.
They just said you can't assess the township because it's not a landlord, and that's how it ended.
technicality.
Well, whatever you wanna call it, that's how it ended up. The part of the issue here, the problem is that there was a lot of things that should have been discussed before things were done. You need to understand too that culverts crossing 2 and 3 had gates on them. They could have been used the gates, and they could have negotiated there or something, but the township decided we're gonna tear them off. and they took them out altogether. Once they're taken out, the guy on the other side of the road's complaining, now what? We put them back in because they were part, we were pushed into a corner here. You know, what are we supposed to do, just leave it and let the people on the west side of the road, incur damages? They wanted it back the way it was. Again, if there would have been more negotiation or at least more talking, I think things could have ended up differently. Because like I said, you had gates there. You could have shut the gate. You could have worked it that way or done something, or at least talked about it. But instead, they took them out of the road.
And as soon as we found out that this was, what their plan was, to remove them, the very next meeting, we addressed that. And one of the township supervisors was there at the meeting. And, we said, don't do anything until we get this figured out. And we followed up with that with a letter, a certified letter, to, don't remove them, until we get this thing figured out. 2 days later, they had them out.
And it benefited one person.
Who did it benefit, Brian?
One person, right?
Who? I've got a 1.5 foot drop on the other side of the road. The culvert's the same size in the road as the next one down. It didn't benefit anybody. I'm sorry, I should say.
Well, yeah, continue on, Larry.
Okay. Okay, landowners whose fate pay special assessments expect a conveyance and flood control benefit from the Oak Creek assessment drain. Removal of crossings reduces conveyance, increases upstream inundation, raises maintenance needs and the cost for the drain, and diminishes the property benefits that justify the special assessment. Modifications that reduce conveyance could prompt legal challenges to special assessment by landowners who become inundated because of the deficient crossing. The Water Resource District reconstructed culvert 2 and 3 to meet the current stream crossing standards to address the liability concerns. With the reconstructed culverts and culvert 1 in place, immediate liability claims attributable to 55th Avenue crossings are limited. Any future modification that reduces conveyance could re-expose parties to liability. I think we're all pretty clear on that, correct now? Okay. The Water Resource District has incurred contractor, engineering, and legal costs in addressing the obstruction and pursuing the Supreme Court appeal. Total costs incurred to date are approximately $152,593.14. These costs will be borne by the landowners affected by the Oak Creek assessment drain through special assessment. Landowners who are also Fairville Township taxpayers, they also bear the township's expenses incurred in the dispute. Any questions on that from you guys? Now, earlier Richard had said that we didn't have the right to do that. I'm not sure where he gets his information from, but that's what he told you earlier this morning. Anybody got anything they want to add to that point?
With these costs that we're incurring on $152,000, you guys have to also understand that we deal with a lot of people in the drain. It was the people in the drain that also wanted us to move forward. It wasn't.
And put them back in.
Yes, and so they knew that it was cost them. They were the ones that stood behind me, like, this is not right. We gotta do something to figure it out. So just so you know.
And the biggest reason for taking it and going all the way to the Supreme Court is we were hoping that the mistakes that were made at the district level would have gotten corrected, but the Supreme Court decided not to do anything with that part of it. So that's still, basically we're in the same place we were 2 years ago when this all started.
And if they decide you want to dig them out again. I said if they decided to dig them out again.
And we start all over.
Now, we're trying to make some changes in the century code to prevent
Yeah.
further things like this happening, but this is where we're at, unfortunately.
Well, it sounds to me like the real question that needs to be answered is who has jurisdiction over, do townships have jurisdiction over
We'll get to that in
water
a minute here.
Which,
Yeah. Okay, we'll just continue on here. Although the impediment of flow in Oak Creek assessment drain is presently resolved, the jurisdictional and the legal disputes between the Water Resource District and Township are not. The Water Resource District remains committed to finding a way of resolving this dispute amicably, efficiently, and cost-effectively as possible. Or effectively, if that resolved. Provides a durable determination which authority has jurisdiction and liability over 55th Avenue crossings in the dispute, assurance that the Oak Creek assessment drain will provide the conveyance of the flood control benefits underlying the special assessment, a resolution that minimizes legal and construction costs for taxpayers and landowners. The Water Resource District is considering initiating a declaratory judgment action to clarify which authority is responsible for culvert jurisdiction and for maintaining compliance with the stream crossing standards. While this provides high legal clarity, it takes time to resolve, incurs additional litigation costs, and is adversarial. Propose a clear plan documenting the cleanout, repairing, extension, or improvement of the Oak Creek assessment drain to clearly include culvert 2 and 3 on the assessment drain. While this provides moderate certainty, if well documented, it is a process that could take months to years to complete, and its costs are dependent on mutual cooperation between affected parties. And the last alternative is to do nothing alternative, which would leave the issue to the landowners upstream of 55th Avenue to resolve through litigation or some other action if the culverts are modified again in the future. This provides no certainty on legal clarity, risks, future litigation, risks assessment, challenges, and if the culverts are modified again, claims for liability.
Does the North Dakota Township Association have an opinion on this? I'm just curious.
I have no idea.
You see why I asked the question?
Explain why you're asking the question.
Well, it's talking, you guys are talking about that if they come out again, there's nothing you can do about it supposedly because the township has, who's got the jurisdiction here? So the place to ask that question is the state Township Association must have an opinion on this. That's their job. Or not. I'm trying to, I'm trying to get somewhere.
That's the original question. That's been the question from the beginning. Is it the water board or is it the township? Who controls most of this?
So nobody in North Dakota can come up with that answer.
We've tried two
Clarify.
courts.
I mean,
The
that's,
Supreme Court won't answer it. We don't even answer it. All they said is.
I mean, it's kind of a,
but the township associations, to answer your question, would have an opinion, but that doesn't carry any weight. That would be their opinion. It's just
but
a
you'd
group.
have to start there to a point, wouldn't you? Otherwise, why have the Township Association?
No, you'd have to look at century code or,
But they would present that. That's their job.
The Township Association, Boone, myself, Devin, there were some other people who were at a meeting here in Carrington. Was that about a year and a half ago we were down there? Something like that? Maybe longer. Yeah. Anyway, that was discussed at that meeting. And Tom Moe is the attorney for the association.
He was out with it.
And he understands, and it was explained that day by him as well, that in an assessed drain, that the water boards have the authority over the culverts.
Because the assessed drain went ahead and did their due diligence beforehand.
Because when the assessed drain was originally set up, when the engineers and all that, they went back, at least this is how it's supposed to work. I don't know exactly what all took place, that's 40 years ago now, but when they were originally set up, they had to meet with the townships and say, okay, tell the township, okay, this is where the drain's gonna run. You need to accommodate this water flow through there with whatever size pipe that, you know, we determine needs to be through there. And that's the way it originally was set up. And then, so at that point in time, you know, when they did this, if the township didn't agree with that, they could have, you know, had those discussions back then. But we are not aware of any disagreements that they had with the township back then.
Is there any paperwork saying that they agreed?
I would imagine that, well, yeah, they would have had to, but they wouldn't have been able to go or proceed with the project.
It's a legal drain.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing I can't figure out. If there was that document, why couldn't the Township Association rule then if there was a document signed like that?
In an assessed drain, I don't know that they would have the legal authority to do that. Really.
Right, but if you've got the paper and they cleared it, it was a goal.
Mhm.
See where I'm going? You know, if you have the paperwork,
Basically, to have a clear and concise decision, we almost need to do the declaratory judgment, and that would be done through the court system. So then we're back to more legal cases. And you laugh about that. We had that discussion before all this even started, before the culverts ever came out. Do we need to do this? Well, then all of a sudden, the culverts came out, and now we're pushed into something else.
well, if you go to the Hard Reservoir, okay, everybody was fine with the level as high as it was. And all of a sudden, there was no paperwork when the Fish and Game said, oh yeah, you can do that. There was no paperwork signed, so then where's it come out? You follow what I'm trying to say? Was this a word of mouth or was it paperwork? Because the board and Harvey would have stayed in if there would have been paperwork.
I'd disagree with you on that.
Well,
I got a take for that. Drainage ditch or district started way back in the day. They had to get permission from everyone.
right, that's what I mean.
Well,
That's,
it's there. You've got to dig pretty deep. It's 40 years old.
but still, you would think that they would have had to do something.
They did.
Can I ask Richard one question, I guess, clarify something?
Yeah, it's in the construction.
So as a county landowner, what do you feel removing these culverts was a benefit?
We removed the culverts
No,
because
as a county landowner.
as a county landowner,
Yeah.
well, the road. We had to pull them out, and it was known that they were old culverts. And the culvert that was left, that was in the drain, these were not culverts that were in the drain whatsoever. One of them's a quarter mile from the intersection. And there's no easement to run water across the road. It was strictly an equalization culvert. The culvert that's remaining is the same size as the next one downstream. There's a 1.5 foot drop between that intersection and the next culvert. And the water runs fine. The rain event he was talking about where it flooded, where it came out of the channel, which we all know happened, it was a 4-inch rain. And the township offered and tried to work with the water board, and we were only getting attorney letters back. We are not some horrible bunch that is not workable. We are not. And I don't know how we could do this anymore. We are not interested in going to attorneys and going to court. That's stupid. But the engineer, when they built the project, I was on the township board. I was also a landowner. Okay? And in the engineer's notes, it said the culvert, and this is the one that's about 75 feet off their easement, could be removed when necessary. They didn't want to spend the money to take it out. It didn't need to be in there because it's the same size as the one above it and the same size as the one below it.
But the one below it, Richard, is
Just a
not the
minute,
same
please.
size.
The which one?
One below is not the same size, Richard.
Of course it is, Larry. I'm fireman. I know. I measured it. You can. It doesn't matter. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying that you are getting a picture painted that we're unworkable, and we're not. And I don't know how else to proceed, but we certainly don't wanna go on. Declaratory thing about who runs the culverts, long as they don't cause issues, it's not that big a deal. But that one at the quarter-mile line is gonna wash out that field if you open it up. Why on earth it was put back in is beyond me. It's been closed for 40 years. It doesn't make any sense. And, again,
So,
we
just
would,
getting back to my original
sorry, Paul.
question, you're answering more as
I'm
a
sorry.
township,
well,
just as a landowner. Culverts that have been in there, what, 40 years? I'm
Our
guessing or
culvert?
more.
yeah, they were longer than, they've been in the 40s.
What benefit, just as a local landowner, do you see those culverts getting removed,
Because they need to be changed.
changed?
Yeah, they were in disrepair. We had issues with the road, and
So
we didn't
pulling
want to
them
buy
out,
So
culverts.
you
Change
bought,
them.
you closed them and got rid of the culvert.
Got rid of culverts, but they weren't even in the drain. They weren't anywhere. They were 75 feet out of the right of way of the drain, and the other one is a quarter-mile down the road. They were not.
So you wanted to change them? as
No,
a township?
there's no reason to have them because the water is diverted into the channel when the project was built. And these culverts were not necessary. That's why this engineer wrote in the notes that culvert can be removed when necessary. And the one down at the quarter-mile line runs into the south lateral. And
So,
there's
just
no-
to clarify, as a landowner, those culverts were not necessary.
Correct. And if they needed to put stuff in and were the steam crossing standard, we offered to work with them. I don't know what more we could do.
When they were in there, was it a detriment to your farmland?
No,
Then
why would it be?
why didn't you replace them?
Because they don't need to be in there, and why spend the money for the township?
I gotta think way back in the day, someone didn't put them in there just because they didn't have anything
That's
else
right,
to
but
do.
the drainage project was put in after these were put in the 40s, Stan. And the drain project diverted all that water, and they cut a ditch, so it ran along the road ditch to the north side. It no longer would run to the south.
I don't know if it's stuff though, if it doesn't hurt anything by having them in there, why would you take them out?
Fix the road, so no holes in the road. When culverts come apart, we have issues.
There's a new one in there now, right?
Now they put one in, yeah.
Yeah, so what's,
We're not bitching about the culvert they put in.
So we're all
but
good with
so
everything?
everything's good if it's in there,
As
right?
long as they don't open the gate on that one at the quarter-mile line, because they have no easement to do that.
Is that number 3?
Number 3, there's absolutely no easement. And then as far as number 2, doesn't bother us. But the culvert downstream, if the culvert downstream is bigger, then it takes the water nicely, absolutely. But we're concerned about washing over our roads because they've been installing larger culverts upstream. We have had to close our roads down there too many times, and for the safety of our township, we would like it controlled. You can control this water so it doesn't run over our roads by the gates. That's what they're for. That's how the project was designed, was to control and hold water up on top and let it as things opened up.
Wasn't there gates on the culverts that were removed?
Yes, there were, and they were shut.
There's also an operation plan to run those culverts.
There
And you're
is.
not just dealing with our
There
county
is.
when that water starts flowing.
Right,
We
it's
have
Foster.
downstream, we have Foster,
So,
Eddies.
at any rate, we have been more than willing to work with the water board.
In all the assessed drains, there's an operation that you follow.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Eric was a gate man for a number of years, and ran those gates and never washed over a road when they were uncultivated. That's, my son Eric was.
So when the gates are closed and the water's running over the road downstream, which I have seen numerous times, before I even got on the water board, I seen that. Because there is, how many miles do you think it is, Richard, from where the gates are to where it goes into Rosefield Slough? How many miles is that?
Larry, I would be taking a guess. You probably know the answer.
It's 5 miles, Richard.
Okay.
There's a lot of water in 5 miles that all comes to that location.
Sure, but the water starts running over the road 1.25 miles east of where these culverts are.
Well, we're never going to agree on that.
Well,
but,
we don't have to agree on that. All we gotta do is get along, and that's all the township is trying to do.
Okay, so are you done with it? Everything good?
Yeah, long as that,
Tear culverts out and.
we don't plan to tear culverts out, but we do not want that 1.25 mile line opened up in any way, shape, or form. There's no easement for it, and there's no reason for it. That water's supposed to stay in the north channel. If it goes in that other culvert, it goes into the south line. And that thing runs full from, how far back? 15 miles, 8 miles, I don't know. Long ways, a lot of water. Doesn't need any more. So,
Well, we've heard it here, you're all trying to get along, culvert's in, so that's a deal.
Take it when you're ready.
Is it in the minutes, Dan?
No. We all agreed to get along.
Does anybody record it?
well, come on, meet with the township. That's all.
If the township is willing to get along, how come you went and ignored the water board's letter? You just went and took a
You know, Kyle, I'm not even gonna get on that stuff. We've got enough headaches here. So,
I'd like that answered
I'd like to hear
myself.
that answer
You're
too.
going too deep.
what did you ask?
Seems
Kyle,
like
what
legitimate
did you ask
question.
me? What did you say? I just, I'm talking, but what did you say?
You're running out of truth.
He's your cousin.
Why would you say that? Why, Kyle? What did you ask me question?
Because I'm sitting in the middle, Kyle just asked, why did you ignore the letter from the attorney, from the water board, and went and tore out the culverts? That's what he asked, I could hear him behind me. That's all he asked, and then Brian.
I'm sorry, I don't.
You don't know why you ignored the letter?
You said the township was willing to get along.
And I've seen that
Why couldn't we-
documented on your end from what Alex has given me and from the water board. And you're saying you wanted to work with the water board, but yet they asked you to do something, and then you go and do something
Well,
different, and that's not really working, trying to solve an issue together.
I don't,
You didn't respond to their letter, is what they're saying.
You responded in the wrong way to their letter.
They responded, but they responded that way.
2 days later, I took the culvert out.
well, they were trying to take control of our culverts, I think.
But you were
But we
still
weren't
in
gonna touch 'em.
negotiating, I think.
Okay, I don't know. I guess I can't remember. It's been almost,
Well, we consider
18 months.
all these.
Doesn't
We ain't
matter.
gonna get nothing resolved.
I just, yeah, you gotta work together, and I don't think it's right to carry something out without working together.
What about future liability though? There's a huge question here, isn't there?
Well,
As long as they leave it alone, there's no liability.
I'm not talking necessarily about this. What about the other side of the county now?
That's a problem. And
Because-
actually, we're dealing with that on the legislative level.
I mean, it basically opens up a huge can of worms.
And that's the reason we took it to the Supreme Court in the first place, is to get that
And there's
clarified.
really no
And
clarification
there's
from,
zero clarification with it.
so what you have is a whole bunch of future other problems, possible.
Well, and to clarify, anybody that aren't aware of this, that's one of the reasons we took it to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
It wasn't all about
It wasn't about the
your
money.
situation.
Yep.
It was about,
This is a
like Brian
statewide
said,
problem.
I said early
Yeah.
on, who has jurisdiction over these things? Does the township have precedence over anything else? Or is it water board, or someone's got to determine that? And they,
At this point, it's $152,000 question.
And
Well,
at the
more
end
than that,
of
it's
the,
You know,
over
I mean,
200,000.
Yeah, but whatever, I'm just saying,
For the county.
that's,
which the
Start there.
farmers are taking the bite on.
right.
and at the end of the day, no clarification has been given through two court systems.
We just figured it's a legislative thing now, but that's gonna take time.
you can't get an attorney general's opinion on something like this. That's not Supreme Court, this is Attorney General.
Right.
Who interprets the state laws, and they're,
I don't know if they would give us an opinion or not.
or give the Association of Counties an opinion.
Yeah.
Or
We got
the
their
state water
opinion of their
commissioner,
attorney.
an opinion,
Yeah.
you know? They won't, not to diminish you, they aren't gonna give by you an opinion. But a state agency, you think they would, or he would.
Yeah.
Say,
Now, obviously, we'll be talking about this in our meeting coming up here next
I think
week.
that's an avenue you gotta at least try to go down.
Stan, if they would have talked to us and we could have worked together, that culvert would have cost a few $1,000 to put that one in the north, in the drain. If they felt that's what the steam crossing needed. I lived there and farmed it for 50-some years. It's never run over that road, but if the steam crossing standard says it needs to be changed, it wouldn't have been a problem. If they would have talked to us and tried to work with us.
Well, that's
But, so that's,
incentive,
so I'm
yeah.
saying, but that's incentive for that you're supposed to work together, and that's what we're willing to do.
Well, let's from this point forward do that.
Hopefully in writing, by the way.
Yeah. Anything else, Dave?
Any other questions for us?
Read a book.
Yeah.
And get into water counseling.
You got more questions than answers.
Got of experience.
Yeah, that's something that's actually been talked about at the state level, is setting up a long court.
Well, there should be.
Yeah. Other states have done that.
Because if nobody wants to answer the questions, you know, because this has gone in front of a lot of people and nobody really wants to answer the question, get something established so we don't have to go through this.
Wild, wild west out there right now.
Courts remember that.
Right.
Well, how many other people are gonna try to pull this now?
That's my point right there. That's why we were trying to get
I
clarification.
know, I understand that.
We didn't try and pull anything, Bruce. The culvert is the same size as the next one downstream.
Didn't
And those-
pull anything, just hold the culvert.
Yep. And didn't put one back in to replace it. That's the bad part.
Well, the legislature's coming up here, they're having a special session, maybe you guys can get their attention.
No, they won't allow that.
You guys, we'll see what kind of clout you got.
Yeah, there
Good
you
luck
go.
with that.
Yeah.
Hey, Richard, did you help my neighbor pay for that surveying? Where you were 20 feet over and 3/4 of, or 15 feet over and how many mile, in a 3/4 of a mile?
What's that one?
Did you, you agreed to pay for the surveying,
If I was over it, and then.
you were over, and way more than he was.
Oh, why don't you come with me and take a look and see, because it's not the way it looks, but if you have some copies, if you want me to pay for half, that wasn't our agreement, but if I was over, absolutely, I would.
I'll tell him to talk to you, because I asked him, and he said you haven't paid nothing.
I haven't got the bill, you didn't mention it.
I know it ain't, but it's a, and there was a culvert put in there that was a complaint before too, on this mile line.
Yeah.
Larry knows what I'm talking about.
And that was, you guys.
Whatever, I just, now you got something else to think
No,
about.
I don't at all, because I told you you would, and.
Yep.
Okay. Let us move along.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the help.
Let's just get along. Brian?
Morning.
Morning.
Are you here to get one?
Are you here with a loving spirit?
I sure hope so.
Good news?
Nothing but good news. That's all we ever do, right?
We needed some.
Thank goodness.
I have cost estimate and some progress reports for the structure replacement projects. The cost estimate is for the bridge on Terminal 1. So where we're at with things, there's some, our plans are at like 90%. We submitted them to DOT for review. I got a couple sets here. I don't know how you guys normally like to, as portfolio holders, want to review plans, or if Brett and I want to just go through them, or if you guys have any questions. Or...
Get the guy.
Okay, sounds good. We'll work through that. The DOT got it in April bid opening, April 10, is for the County Road 1 bridge. It's a little later than we were hoping, but I don't think we should have issues with talking with contractors. I think we'll still availability
Yeah,
to get
see
it
here,
done
it says
this week.
This goes back.
342, number 4, number 11.
Yeah, one is for the bridge, and
Yeah,
one's for the box sidings. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, where you at now?
Nope, that's fine. Like I said, yeah, plans are at 90%, so we'll just get DOT's blessing, and you guys, I'll go through things with Brent and make sure you're good with everything, and then we'll, we just wait on a couple more permits, 404 permit and sovereign line from Department of Water Resources. Once we get that, we'll get everything buttoned up, and should be a good deal for this one. Completion date, we were thinking fall. It's, we're bidding in April, they won't be able to get going until maybe June, so give them 3-4 months. We're looking at like end of October probably for completion date.
I know we were trying to get a completion date in the end of September.
Yeah.
correct? And that looks, is it because it's not being bid now till April 10th that completion date was pushed back a month?
Yeah, I think I mean, we could still do, realistically, with it being a paved highway, they're gonna have to have it pretty much done in the beginning of October to have it open.
My concern is the September 24th, where we had talked about completion date, rather than the October 24th. It may sound like it's only a month,
With harvest and everything.
but it's a very, very important month, because I think we all know that 80% of our crops in Wells County are soybeans and corn. And a completion date at the end of September compared to a completion date at the end of October means the world to everybody that uses that bridge up north.
Definitely. Well, we don't have to set that now. We'll reach out to a few of the bridge contractors and just get their.
But when we
feelings on-
submit, when it's officially, I mean, it's supposed to be bid April 10th, correct?
Yes, yep, that's
Okay.
when it's set.
So when that goes to bid, the completion date is,
That'll be in the contract, yep. or in
and
the-
as of now, it's 10/24.
We don't have anything set yet, so that's
Can
kind
we,
of what,
can we request 9/24?
we can put whatever we want, yep, but it's just gotta be, realistic for the contractors too, to be able to
Right.
complete it.
There's a risk in that bid being higher
Yeah,
because of that.
Right.
yeah, potentially, yeah.
There-
The shorter timeline you get, the usually. the
Right,
higher price.
but we are talking about it. I'm not against the 10/24. I just want you guys aware of that. You know what happens between 9/24 and 10/24. Lots.
It's gonna cause a problem no matter what.
Right.
Right.
That was my only point.
What kind of detours are we looking at?
Well, we're looking at detours. The locals will detour through the township, but the actual detour will be all the way over to 30, if I'm correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. You know, the locals are gonna find their way around the bridge to get, you know, the gravel roads, the township road.
13 after 30.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That would be the official sign.
That would be the official signed detour, but you know, the locals won't, they'll cut across wherever they can.
You guys don't have to worry about maintenance on
Right,
it.
no.
So this is what.
No, that's, what is it to 30 from,
5 miles.
5 miles and then Hamburg is 10.
That was,
to Hamburg, this is 10.
That would be 5.
yeah, I think that was the shortest route we could come up with, that was
Right.
a paved route.
And obviously, if you're trying to get over to Hamburg, you're gonna, you know, it's really only 5 miles detour. I mean, it's not any more miles for anybody trying to get to Hamburg, because you gotta go that 5 miles anyway, whether
Right.
it's on County 5 or on a gravel road.
That's where most of the
Correct.
traffic's gonna be going.
And if you're trying to get towards Harvey, you're gonna detour over towards Manford, you know, rather than go the long way around. It's just that there's local farmers on both, you know, obviously we know who we're talking about that have land on both sides of that bridge, and farms on both sides of that bridge.
It's just gonna have to be what it is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just, I know, the only reason I brought it up is because when Brian and I originally talked, we were aiming for the end of September.
Yep.
So that's the only reason I brought it up.
So, we'll reach out to a few of the bridge contractors and
Yeah.
just see what their workload looks like as we get closer to when we're submitting, and, we'll keep it as tight as possible.
Yeah, I understand, and if it can't be helped, it can't be helped.
Yeah.
We're getting a bridge, and we need it.
Okay, no, that sounds good. What else? Yeah, I mean, with it's a single span bridge, so it should be a quick 3-month project.